Today on Football Feature, we take a closer look at Florida high school football.
Mike Manasco, head football coach, Miami Palmetto Senior High, 10-2. And not as we planned. 10-2 is quite not good enough anymore. Unfortunately, we've been 10-2 the last 2 years. We were 9-2 the year before that. So it's like we've got to get over that second round hump. We ended up losing to a good team that we had beaten earlier in the year, like a last second loss in the second round that kind of sent us home. So it was definitely something that's motivated the kids. We've had the best. From January till we got shut down, it was the best workouts I've had in the 6 years I've been at Palmetto. This is why this whole experience is it's a little enlightening to me, just because we are going to be very experienced next year. So these kids kind of understand, the magnitude of what they need to be doing on their own, so that we're ready to go and hit the ground running when we get the green light. It's funny, I didn't really know I was even going to coach. And it just happened for me, and I just ended up doing it. And I got under some guys that were older and had been around a long time, and were just very successful coaches, Mike Shapiro, Don Solinger, Stu Rogers, guys that had just done it at a high level down here in South Florida. And, that's really what kind of drew me into coaching. And then, the stuff that I believe in, and the characteristics that I believe kids should have, and things like that, are really what carried me through, especially growing. My first head coaching job was Westland Hialeah, where we started that program, and there wasn't much as far as a football community. There wasn't much as even kids that even knew how to put gear on, so that's the kind of stuff that's kind of driven me as I've gotten to Palmetto's, where I went to high school. So getting back there was great, and the success we've had has been just fruits of all the labor of all the coaches and all the kids that have been kind of put through our program, and what we expect. Our three values are effort, attitude, and toughness, and those are the three things I feel like the kids gotta have. They're something that their coaches can't give to them. So those are three big things, and I think that's really pushed me through this. And obviously these times that we're going through right now, it's like our new normal. We've almost have to come up with new ways and new innovations where we don't have any data to look back on and say, okay, well, this could work or that could work. We're just kind of going out there, and this is where I think those morals and those values and the character that we try to instill in the kids is where it's going to come through for us. Competition's huge. We try to breed that all the time, whether it's through mat drills or in the weight room, on the practice field. We talk about that all the time. I tell the kids all the time, if you're comfortable in practice, then you're not going to be where we want you to be when it comes time to do something special on Friday night, and I think the only way the kids get those game-like things is by true competition. So as coaches, we try to find ways to create competition through things, whether it's academics, whether it's, we've even had things where we check on what kids are doing at home for their parents, just so that competitive edge continues to grind throughout their entire being. It's like, I tell the kids all the time, you ain't gonna turn it on. If you're gonna let me down now, you're gonna let me down on 4th and 1 when we need you the most. So, we've got to figure out how we get through those things and reach these guys. But you hit it on the head. Competition is, if you're not creating that for your kids, then there's no way you're going to be able to, number one, win at a high level, and then be able to sustain it, Yeah, I think that with creating it, it's almost like, you have to have a plan in place before you get out there. You have to have, and for us, it's a tempo thing. Like we create that in, there's not a lot of downtime. We're not out there practicing for 3 hours, so we're out there for 2 hours. But in those 2 hours, those minutes count. And we move, and I think that the kids realize when there is a sense of urgency out there by the coaches, and we're constantly, going, moving. It creates that competition, because they don't get as many reps as you would get if we were sitting out there running, 50, 60 plays, where they're able to try to make me. We're more of, okay, look, the guys that are going to get the job done, the guys that are going to do it under this adversity we're trying to create. And I think, unfortunately, with so many high schools and with so many kids bouncing around, it's really hard to create that competition for these high schools in practice, to be honest. So what we've done, and we've got a good track record of keeping our kids, but what we've done is we just make sure we're going good on good. You know, our drills are going to be good on good all the time. You know, now are we going to hurt kids? Or are we going to go to the ground? Obviously not, but we're going to go good on good when it, you know, when we have the time. You know, we've got a great group, I mean, of kids that have been with the program for, this will be their 4th year. I mean, kids that they're getting all the accolades as far as offers and stars and all that stuff, but they're great kids. They're kids that compete in the weight room. They're kids that keep our locker room clean. They're kids that make sure all the equipment's off the field. You know, those are to me, those are the bigger things. You know, when we come to these kids, it's like, man, who really takes the ownership? Who takes the pride within the program? Because winning football games is easy, you know what I mean? Losing football games is even easier, but you know, the ability for these kids to actually get something from this and grow. But as far as like guys, you got Corey Collier. He's probably one of the best teammates I've ever had as a kid. You know what I mean? He plays for his teammates. Jason Marshall, Brashard Smith, you know, those 3 guys, Derrick Edwards, they've been with us and they've won a lot of football games. You know, when I first got there, Palmetto was kind of, they'd not had success in a while. And, you know, these guys got there just when we started turning it around, you know, that first season where we were really decent. They were their freshman year. And so they've kind of, you know, been winning the entire time, and they all won a national championship together in Little League. Those 4 kids. And then the addition of Leonard Taylor a year ago. I mean, he is what you want in a football player. He's what you want in a kid that's just, you know, is a good-hearted kid. And they compete like hell, you know what I mean? Those kids do with each other because they don't want to be outdone, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's with offers, whether it's whatever. So that group, that really good group of kids right there. And there's a lot more, you know, but, you know, this is the first year since probably that year, our first district championship, where our offensive line is going to be, you know, back to what our standard is, you know, of being tough kids that can, you know, get out there and play. Unfortunately, it's been, we've had to throw kids around and patchwork jobs. But this year coming up, I mean, we have a center who's going to be a 3-year starter. You know, we've got some offensive linemen that are, we had a freshman that started 12 games last year that will probably be my first big time Division I lineman since I've been at Palmetto. So we've got the pieces there, you know. And those kids, like I said, those kids demand, you know, that the other kids do their job, and that there is a standard of excellence that's happening, and it makes it easier as a coach. Well, we got a great class of 2022s that played a lot of football last year as sophomores. Our quarterback, Kevin Smith. We have 3 running backs back there that are all sophomores and can all do it. You know, Marlon Hanna, Tyrone Maxwell, and Isaiah Mosley. We've got a slot receiver, Bobby Golden, and then we've got an athlete that had 7 returns for touchdowns. Kid's so electric. Michael Jackson. That sophomore class right there from last year. I mean, they're close. You know what I mean? They call themselves the Big Six, and they're special. You know, and then you got our 2021 kids, which I didn't mention Savion Collins, who's one of the most sought-after D linemen in the country as well. And then you've got a group right behind those that unfortunately is not having a spring really hurt them. But they do have offers, but they're not. I think this spring would have blown them up, you know. And Dwight Dassaw, who recently committed to FAU, Melvin Dean, outside linebacker, Marquis Charlemagne, tremendous defensive back. Ralph Williams is a kind of a jack of all trades, really good running back, but could play linebacker too. So those are all guys at the spring for 2021 would have really helped them. But they all have offers, and they you know, they'll end up signing somewhere, and you know. But like I said, man, as long as these kids are safe right now, I'm not too concerned about when we're going back and that kind of thing, because I think a lot of people are itching to go back, but it's like, let's be safe about this.
First thing that pops in your mind, go ahead and just say it.
Gotcha.
I said Palmetto offense.
Fast.
Defense.
Violent.
Special teams.
Organized.
Palmetto fans.
Crazy.
And then the last one would be administration down, all the way to the people who help out with whatever, food, who names it, who's lining the fields, doing whatever. What one word would you sit there and say describes your program?
Supportive. With those people, we wouldn't be able to do without them. I mean, we were very blessed to have a big huddle, to have a big group of people that really care about the program and really care about what happens, from the principal all the way down to the janitors that clean the locker room. I mean, there is a great sense of family, and I think that's why we've been successful. Kentron Portier is going to be a stud receiver for Florida State. He should go in and play right away. Robert Hanna is going to probably start in the secondary at Syracuse as a nickelback. David Ely is going to probably, if not start right now, be a great contributor at Georgetown. Got some offensive linemen that are going to Allegheny College in Pennsylvania. Got one going to Beloit in Wisconsin, Cameron Darville. Let's see, I got Mitchell Hagan's, a little slot receiver, is going to Wesley College. So, we definitely have a group of guys that, we didn't have a big senior class. This is by far my smallest that I've ever had. We really only had about 12 kids that really contributed, that were seniors, whether they started or not. So of those 12, 2 of them could have played, but they're going on high academic scholarships because they're really, really smart. I think they're both going to go to the University of Florida and kill it, as students. But we have about 9 or 10 guys that are going to go play ball.
Somebody that you grew up idolizing, or just somebody who's affected you?
Well,
when I say favorite athlete, you say?
I mean, probably because of what's been going on with Michael Jordan, watching The Last Dance, those 10 episodes, man, it just let me relive my childhood, because I went through that. That was a big, in 91, I was 13, and in 98, when he finished up, I was, finishing my freshman year in college. So it was a huge part of my childhood.
Yeah. So did you ever get to see him play?
Yeah, my stepfather actually took me to my old Miami arena when he came. I think it was had to have been like 94, somewhere in that, maybe 93. But it was awesome. Our seats were pretty high up, but it was still great to be in the building. Look,
I just had a conversation with my dad on Zoom, and I told him, I said, after watching that Last Dance, I said, I feel some type of way that you didn't let me go see Michael. I said, that's a once in a lifetime.
Right. No, I was very lucky. He surprised me too. It was like one of those, like, hey man, it was like on a Tuesday, he's like, hey, we're going to watch Michael Jordan. And I was like, yes. And it was great. I mean, we were really high up. It was actually my second or third Heat game I'd ever been to, because, I wasn't a huge basketball fan, but, Michael Jordan, just seeing what he did and at the level that he did it and the way he did it, kind of drew everybody in. I don't know. It's funny you say that, because I tell my coaches and I tell my kids all the time that I want our program to be as transparent as possible. I don't want there to be something that we feel like we're doing that other people shouldn't know about, So transparency is huge to me. So I really got nothing when it comes to that.